10. Oh, that is scary. 10 of you watching. Thank you very much indeed. So, my first perhaps last, I don't know, as long as I can get 15, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, just see if I get any comments. Love to hear from you. Thank you very much indeed. I've got a selection of beers in the back here. That I've got a little range there. There's a bar, proper job from the Northern Brewery, full of London Pride. I'll back a localist one to me, tea, off the pen, and you may well see that I've enjoyed a speck of hen on a hot job and a hot job Ruby. Well, so I've got a bit of a beer selection, and I'll invite you to suggest which one perhaps I in a little while. I'd like to reply to some comments. So I've got a bit of a Dan joining, and John A. Dawson. It's great to hear from a few people. Thank you very much. I'm not on my own. I'd like to reply to some comments. Scary, really. Just looking at the camera and chatting away. So I'd like to reply to some comments. Do keep them coming in. I'll keep an eye on those. I've got some photos and stories to share with you as well. It's the first time I've set up that going so I'd like to reply. Just do let me know as long as the sound is okay. Somebody says, Mike, the property say hi, background music a bit loud. Oh, thank you for the feedback. Like I just said, I can lower that. Probably not this time round, but I'll bear that in mind. So thank you. Well, thank you for the feedback. Like I said, comments most welcome. I'll try and catch up with them as I go. I've got a couple of comments already in, so I'll be doing that. How many clicks have people? Look, guys, I've got no thumbs up so far. Do give me a kind of a little bit of encouragement here, as well as some comments as well. So I'm going to be watching the little thumbs up. Hopefully I'll get some thumbs up along the way. And in the comments, do tell me where you are. I'm in England, kind of the southern part of England, sort of the Hampshire, Surrey border area, very much kind of southwest of London, in England. Where are you? Are you near me? Are you the other side of the globe? I know the comments that I received over the years, people have indicated that certainly not local to me as well. So, do tell me where you are from. I'll catch some of those as well. And do ask me any more questions. Like I say, I've got two from previous comments that I've had before. Well, there we are. It is beer time. Has anybody suggested which beer that I might comment in? Well, there we are. It is beer time. Well, Dan, thank you. There was some weird music playing. Yes, good evening. That's nice from Linleys fan 2. Thank you. Can't hear you because of the music. Yeah, hopefully the music has gone. Has the music gone? Thank you. There was some weird. Yes, hopefully it's gone. Good evening. That's nice from Linleys fan 2. Thank you. Can't hear you. Music. Yeah, there was some interference going on. The music gone. Hopefully I've got rid of the music. I'm hoping that it's gone. Please do let me know. Let's move on to the beer selection. So what are the votes on? Home bar, they certainly are to do with beer right now. It is beer o'clock. The London Pride, Hogback Tea, and the beer selection. While perhaps you're commenting, this is for you, a comment, Dan. This is a bottle opener. As you obviously realise now, there's a bit of an in-joke with in-joke with bottle openers. Dan accused comment too many bottles. This is a bottle opener. Well, I often have obviously realised now there's a bit of an in-joke. More than one is probably one too many. I don't carry this. Dan accused from overseas, and I do rather treasure it. I post to the host and I've got the things there, but it's my home bottle. I don't like to lose it. From overseas. So, the music is not gone, and don't like to lose it. Your voice is excellent. So, the music is not gone, and don't like to lose it. You can't hear you. No, it's still there. Let's try that. Let's try that. Maybe that's helped. Well, guys, sorry. I thought I'd set and tested that. Okay. Do advise, otherwise I will do a random selection. Anybody making a first suggestion for my beer? Because I want one right now. Beer o'clock. Come on, guys, give me a choice on the beer. That's better. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Mike the Pocket. Brilliant. Sorted now. Yeah, I changed the volume. There's lots of volume settings and bits. I'm trying to get used to it. You can hear me now properly. Well, that's good. Not quite sure what the problem was before. Proper job, Gary C suggests. Yeah, proper job's a good choice. Anybody else make another suggestion? Proper job is Doom, you see. Joe says Doom. I'm surprised, Joe, you're saying Doom Bar. Doom Bar beer from John Adolson, yes. We've got 2 Dooms and 1 proper job. So it's going to be a Doom Bar unless somebody else... Well, I haven't got a nice grapefruit IPA, Dan. We've got 2 Dooms and 1 proper job. So I'm going to go with the Doom. Last call. Last call. Yeah, Joe. Yeah. Right, it's the Doom it is. There we go. Right, let's get that in the glass and I will most certainly enjoy a nice glug. Oh dear, that's not very well poured, is it? There we are. Cheers, guys. I will let that settle. Righty-ho. You might be wondering why I chose to do a live this evening. Well, there's this live button. It's been there lurking and, you know, it's been so tempting for a little while, but it's a bit scary too. And I like adventures and I like playing with software and various things. So I thought what I'd do is I would try it. And if I like it, I might do it again. Thanks for tagging along. How many? We've got 17 people. My goodness, that is quite scary. So yeah, thanks for tagging along. I've not done this for a very long time. You know, it's funny, back in the day, we don't like thinking back to the times when we had the lockdown, but I was a school teacher during that time, trying to be a school teacher during that time. You might have caught up with some of my history and retirement stories. But during the lockdown times, during those phases, I must have done hundreds and hundreds, maybe not hundreds and hundreds, but hundreds of live lessons using Teams, Microsoft Teams, delivering lessons virtually. And all I could see on screen were the lots of little dots of initials where the kids were joining in. I don't know what's more scary, doing this to there's 20 of you, or perhaps a group of 20 or 30 kids. I don't really know. It's not done it for a while. However, I thought I'd try going live. Appreciate your feedback and see how it goes. Right, let's dive into the first question. The first question came in on email, actually, a little while ago. I've sort of stored it, and even before I sort of said I would do the live, actually, it came in via email. I do run an email address for my channel. It's warren@linleys.uk. There's no co in there, it's just Linleys UK. And the email that came in asked me this: what was your first ever walking trip? And why did you keep doing more? So that's actually a very good question, isn't it? You know, what was my first ever walking trip? Well, I'm not sure that I can remember particularly the very, very first one. It's probably a part of my life going back, since I was a little kid, really. Whoops. There we are. My first major trek and walk was during the time when I was about 14, and I think it was Easter time when I was 14, and my family, it was a family trip. My dad was working overseas for quite a lot of the time during those years when I was sort of 13, 14, 15. And he had some leave when he was working overseas, and we all took a long weekend trip up to the Lake District. It was probably 3 or 4 or 5 days, something like that. It wasn't a very long trip. We had like a cottage, B&B kind of cottage, and tried to work out what to do. The lovely weather, and we got a map, an OS map. It was an OS map that my dad bought, and thought, it's an OS map, and probably, apart from GCSE geography, or O-level geography for me, in fact, I probably hadn't actually looked at an OS map before. And there's lots of information and details there. And, we looked around, what's around this. It was like an old farmstead. And right along the very bottom of the little field, there was marked on the map a disused railway. It's actually just along the A66. The A66 has changed quite a bit over the years, but the farmstead is still there, and the disused railway line was marked. And we just thought, well, we've got to explore it, haven't we? What is this dotted line? So we walked down to the field and looked at it, and yes, indeed, there was earthworks and some gravel and stuff. The railway, in fact, as I've subsequently found out, had only been closed about 8 or 10 years. So there was quite a lot of it, kind of the evidence still there. So we started walking. We walked towards Keswick. Now, that first hit actually was quite a long way to Keswick. It was probably about 6 or 7 miles. We didn't do it on that day, but we set a time aside to walk, and we walked along the railway, and we found a disused railway station. Now, this is Threlkeld disused railway station. This was Easter 1977, as far as I can remember, and I was about 14. And this railway station is now completely obliterated. There's the route is there, but there's hardly anything else to look at. The building, and that's an old signal box there that was derelict then. But virtually gone. A little further along the line towards Keswick, we continued walking, and we found what is actually a sequence of lovely old railway bridges. Now you can see that this is completely derelict. The tree growing and the timber work very, very poorly made up, and there's in fact a barbed wire fence there that we may have just stepped over and explored a little bit very carefully. We did actually. So the following day, or a day or so later, we followed the railway line and explored lots and lots and lots of this enjoyable route, and just amazed at what was once a railway line is now just a derelict route. Subsequently, you may have seen some of my videos since, and the whole route is actually a cycle route, etc. So that was when I was 14, and this is the summer, I think it's the summer of 82, or it might be when I was 18, the summer of 81. A couple of us drove up, a mate of mine and I drove up, and we returned to this railway, and it had changed a little bit in the years obviously since, and that was really the beginning of more exploration. You know, it's just what I do. So that was really the beginning of many of the interests, and walking, exploring old railways and canals, and my first real experience of looking at a map and thinking, well, there's a route there. Where does it go? Where does it come from? What do these dots and lines actually mean? And it's great to be able to see how old things change. Okay, so that's not necessarily climbing hills, etc. But while I was there, and this leads into mountains, right in the fore distance is Blencathra. And at the time when I was 17, 14, 15, I really wanted to climb that mountain, and I've subsequently called it my favourite mountain in the Lake District. Well, there we are. I went to Newcastle, and it was sort of a northern base really for getting to the lakes of Northumberland and more exploring and trekking old track beds. Kielder Reservoir, there's an old railway line that goes through there. And back in those days, you know, the mid 80s, it had only been about 20 years since Beeching had done all his cutting, and some of these railway lines had only been cut about sort of 15 or 20 years. So there was quite a lot of evidence, really, of things to explore. Let's have a quick look at some of the comments. Thank you for chattering away to me. So I haven't had any beer. Let's have a beer. Cheers. While it's settling, you could have the tea. Well, I've only got one glass, Joe. Sorry. My question. Thank you, Dan. Your question. What is your favourite piece of camping gear? And what bit of gear would you consider the best value for money from your experience? My favourite bit of camping gear. You know, that's a challenge, isn't it? I wonder what my favourite bit of camping gear is. Favourite. I think what you're particularly saying is favourite and not most important. Camping gear. I'm going to say my Hilleberg Acto, I think, just off the top of my head. I think it was the first tent that I bought, apart from my very, very old one, which is featured in a few videos. I think my Hilleberg Acto was my first real proper tent. I've also got a Van Gogh Sol 200, which I used for a few years. But my Hilleberg Acto, I think, is my favourite, although I've just come back, literally, what are we, Monday today, Sunday today, Saturday I came back yesterday, confused with days, from 3 days in the Peak District, and I used my red Sulu, Hilleberg Sulu, and I must rather say that stood up to some pretty wicked weather, nights of snow and windy, icy kind of rain. It is tempting to say my Sulu, but Dan, you asked me one. I'm going to have to go with the Acto this time. When you're going to, and Linux fan 2, when are you going to update the video from the Nene Valley Railway? Yes. Now then, that is a very good question. In fact, I was going to relate to some railway points to follow. So I'm going to hold the answer for that. Sorry, in just a little while I'll come back to that. But that's a very good question. And he follows on, has your model railway series overtaken it? Well, it's a challenge. Linux fan 2. It is a challenge. I'm now, since sort of September, really trying to get 2 videos out a week, if you've seen, and I've kind of stuck with Wednesday. Whether I'm going to be able to kind of continue sticking with that, I don't know. Wednesday for the Garden Railway, and the Saturday for kind of catching up with other content. I'm finding I can only put 2 videos out a week. I don't have the editing time to do more than that, even though I've retired. I know am still working a little bit, but that's another story. And I think 2 videos a week is really ample for kind of this small channel that I've got. So I'm sticking with the garden railway kind of on Wednesdays, and I've got lots more I need to continue with that. And then the Saturday video will be a combo of walk, railway. And I'm not sure that's answered. I am about 6 weeks behind some of the camping and walking and heritage railways. I've got 2 heritage railways, but I'll come back to that in a moment. Very good question. Anfield Road ladder in the loft. Lee, nice. Thank you for joining today. You do cracking good stuff. You do, mate. Ha 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 to you, Dan of Camp Life Bushcraft. That's probably about my commentary about the Hillyberg Acto. We've both got Hillyberg Actos. Yeah. Have I missed any comments there? Let's just have a quick look. No. I'm going to move on then to my second question. And this one came in just fairly recently to my Instagram. I think it was a direct message. I don't understand Instagram terribly well. I do post images, but that's about all I do with Instagram. I do have an Instagram page. I've got a few. I've got a Warren Brown one. I don't post very much on there. There's a Linleys Garden Railway one, which I don't post very much on there either. But I will do so. This one came in on my Linleys 360, which is a kind of my usual one, and I try and post a little bit every week or so on that. The question came in there: which steam railway do you like the best out of all the ones you've visited? Now that's again quite a challenging question, actually. It kind of goes back, to be honest with you, with my first experience of heritage steam. And this goes back to when I was probably about 6. I can't be sure when. I certainly remember my early visits, and I was sort of 5 or 6 or 7. And these engines, steam engines are big anyway, aren't they? But the steam engines I remember were absolutely humongous. And I was around, walking around them on the gravel in the engine shed, etc. And that was at the Bluebell Railway. And in those days, the line only significant at the time. It was one of, or the first heritage steam railway in the country. It went from Sheffield Park to Horsted Canes, I think about 7 or 8 miles or something like that. And that was my first visit. And my dad, dad's son kind of trips we used to go, I think most years really. And over the time, we'd see how things have changed and grown, and engines come out of the engine shed fresh, and some go back in. And that kind of evolved really over the time. I took my family when I had a young family, my kids and wife. We used to go along and have a nice day out. Not that it was a local railway, but it was something that I did as a kid, and I sort of went with the flow really. I kind of got wrapped up with all of that really. My wife approved, get me out of the house I think some of the time. I actually trained as a guard, but that's another story. I'm not going to go into all of that now, but I actually trained as a guard, and I worked as I needed to keep up my training ticket. I worked most months. I had to work around about 10 or 11 shifts a year. I worked as a guard for about 10 years. I became a life member, and I'm still a member, of course. Get the monthly news and leaflets and things. So, of course, I've been to dozens and dozens of other railways. Are they any better? Do I like them more? I'm going to go with Bluebell because it was my first. I followed it along for so long. It's not my nearest. There are others that perhaps a little nearer. But my answer to that is going to be the Bluebell Railway, and that's my favourite. Others, I must say, are very, very good and give the Bluebell a real run in terms of sort of comparison. Now, while I'm on heritage steam railways, as Linleys Van Toog commented, missing a Nene Valley Railway, which I visited. When was that? That was about November time, I think. I've since been, or just prior to that, been to the Isle of Wight Railway. I've edited the Isle of Wight video, so that'll be out quite soon. Not the next one, but the one after. And then the Nene Valley will have to wait for another couple of weeks because I can't just do heritage steam as a block. I try and kind of split things up. So I've got those two in the can. Isle of Wight is probably the next one. And that was a beer festival as well. I would like to visit the North Yorkshire Moors Railway, and I'm planning to do a visit to the North Yorkshire Railway. Not been there for a very long time, as part of a trip that I got planned to do the Lyke Wake walk, which is an west to east walk, 40 miles. So I'm planning on doing that in a couple of months' time. I'd also really like to go back to the Great Central Railway. They're joining out. There's actually two heritage railways with a gap of about a mile, and the two heritage railways are desperately trying to join the gap and create one very, very impressive railway. So I'd like to go back, and there are obviously very many more. There's an opportunity, you know. Could you recommend a railway that I could go and see? There are many that I haven't seen. Doesn't have to be steam, just a kind of a heritage railway. Doesn't have to be full size. It can be scale size, narrow gauge, or sit on. Excellent if you could make some suggestions. I scour the map and see where I am and what the nearest railway is if I can visit one. So do please comment to see if you can recommend one that you visited. Ideally in kind of England, Wales, Scotland. Not really thinking of overseas, but I know on the continent in Europe there are very many heritage railways. Tempted, but not ventured that far yet. David Cook, hello to you. Warren, change your chat from top chat to all chat, otherwise you miss bits. Well, Dan, you are an expert with this. Yes, I am on top chat. Live chat. Oh, see, live and learn. Ha ha. Right. Oh, there's lots. Oh my goodness. And there's 19 of you watching. It's great that you're joining in. I see, Dan. Thank you very much, Dan, for your advice there. Oh my goodness. I've got some catching up to do. Yes, custard. Right, Dan. Where have I got to? I don't know where I've got to. Dan's making a point about custard. That's if you're saying custard is part of my my favourite equipment when I go camping. No. And in fact, I really did really badly when I was on my trekking trip in the Peak District. I had 3 really lovely nights. I had really big main courses that I cooked. I mean, hardly real cooking. The only custard one I had was the 3rd night. I didn't video all of that. That'll come out. The first 2 nights, I just couldn't face it. You know, Dan, it's for sharing as well, and I didn't have anybody to share it with. A whole big pack of custard. So I think I've missed some of these. So how many thumbs ups have we got? I'm not sure how many thumbs up I've got. My little screen here says none. I don't think that's right. So please give me a bit of encouragement. If you're not done a thumbs up, hit that button if you wouldn't mind. I think YouTube algorithm likes it, so I've heard. Am I up to date? Right. Let's have a look at the next bit. Right, how long have we been so far? Oh my goodness, half an hour. I was only aiming for about 20 minutes. So gosh. So garden railways. Let me just say a little bit more about garden railway. I wasn't planning on kind of going into lots of detail with that this time. Linfax 2 commented earlier on about has it overtaking some of the other bits. I've got lots of different focuses. I think the number of topics and focuses seems to grow more and more. So I've also got pub crawls, beer tours, or pub tours I call them. I've got another one of those in the bag that I did with my mate Neil. So aiming to get that out in the next few weeks hopefully. But I've got a bit of a backlog. If you can comment, give me some encouragement and direction as to what you think I should be going for first. What is your main interest or topic focus? So I've got the garden railway, I've got the heritage, and if you've seen my retirement video, you'll have seen all four of us talking about this. I've got the trekking, and what else have I got? The trekking, the heritage, the beer, the pub tour, Warren. So what is your main interest? Maybe I'm out of date with some of the comments. Have you told me where you are in the world? And can you also then tell me what topic you're interested in? I think my garden railway hit rate for videos is higher than pretty well all of them. That doesn't really direct me for what I should be doing, because actually I'm sorry, I do what I like doing, and at the moment I'm really full on with the garden railway because it's winter time and I can dig things up and work on things. As the summer comes, I'll be doing a little bit less with the building of the garden railway, and there'll be more trekking to follow, so the kind of theme will just blend and change a little bit, I think. So there we are with that. Well, guys, it has been well over half an hour. I was a bit nervous at the start and I blethered on. Thank you for sticking with me. I haven't lost anybody. I've still got 23. That is amazing. I thought I might get 5 or 6. I suppose I might do another one. If you think it's worth me doing another one, please do say no, don't, or yes, please do. There's another thing I'd just like to reference. It's amazing, actually, that I've got almost 2,000 people who've subscribed to my little Linleys UK, little Linleys channel. Just a little short of 2,000, and I gain one a day or every other day. When I set out to do YouTube, what was that, like 3 or 4 years ago? I had no idea that I would actually be so motivated to be doing more and more with it. It's a great way of sharing and bringing things together. I wish I could do more, but the reality is 2 videos a week at the moment is more than I could do. Thank you for following along and your support. I recognise very, very many of the names in the list, and I know you've commented. But I think really it is kind of time to pull this one together. I'll see if I can just grab if there's any more comments. David Cook, yeah, please do, Warren. Thank you for your support with that. So Gary C, Garden Railways and Heritage, David Cook. Yeah, I know, David. You commented a lot on my railway videos. That's really kind of you. Lee from Anfield Road, Lad in the Loft, Railway Lee, fully with that. You're very kind. You also comment on my walking ones. That's really nice of you as well. And Gary C also, Vale of Ride, I can't pronounce that, Welsh Pulling Life. Yes, I have seen that. He's not actually on a list. I haven't actually got a list, but I will do that. There are lots and lots of comments that you can see, guys. Michelle W, 2 thumbs up for the Garden Railway and the pub crawls. So that really you do follow a bit of a mix, don't you? I will comment back to some of these really nice little messages you put in there and just evaluate where your interests are. And I recognise so many of you who very, very kindly commented on my videos. But I think What is it now? It's 36 minutes. I only had in mind 20 minutes, half an hour. I will close it this time. I really appreciate your support. And as I usually sign off, and Dan, don't riddle me for this, please. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.